Hi, this is Miss Downey and this is Algebra 2, Chapter 1 Review. Our first problem says graph the number on a number line. Well, we have 15/8 and that's an improper fraction, so the best thing to do is to turn this into a mixed fraction. So 8 goes into 15 one time with 7/8 left over. So now we are graphing 1 and 7/8. So it means we're past 1 but not quite yet to 2. So here's our 1 and there's our 2. So we know it's going to be between these two numbers. Well, we need to look at our denominator. The denominator says we are in eighths. So we need to divide this into 8 pieces. So between 1 and 2 we need 8 units here. So there's our halfway point. So now if we divide it again, now we've got it in 4 pieces. Now we need to go once again to get it into 8 pieces. So that means that the first one is 1/8. The second one is 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, which is also 1/2, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8, which simplifies to 1. That takes us to our next whole unit of 2. So what we're graphing again is 1 and 7/8. So we're at 1 and now go to 7/8 from there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So to graph it, we'd put a closed dot at 1 and 7/8. And that's your answer. Our next problem says insert less than, greater than, or equal to make the sentence true. Well, we have 4/10 and 2/6. I taught the class to simplify these first. Everything here is divisible by 2, so let's simplify like that. So this would become 2/5 and 1/3. So now when we look at 2/5, let's think of money. If I have a dollar bill and I want to divide it 5 ways, how much does everybody get? So to divide a dollar bill up into 5 pieces, we'll think of dimes. Everybody would get what? 2 dimes, which is 0.20, 20 cents. So that means 1/5 of 100 is 0.2. Okay, so we can take off that trailing 0. And if I have 2 of those, 2/5, that's going to be 0.2 plus 0.2, which is 0.4. So 2/5 simplifies to 0.4. Okay? So that's covered. Now let's look at our 1/3. 1/3, we know, we've done this enough, it is 0.333 repeating. So I'm going to just simplify that to 0.3. Now let's look at our number line. And that one's not good enough. Okay, so I've added this number line, and now notice that I started at 0. Oops. At 0, and here is 1, and there's 2. So we're looking at 0.4 and 0.3 on this number line. Well, here's 0.4 and there's 0.3. So which one's greater? The one to the right is greater. So 0.4 is greater. And I've always taught our inequality symbols, the greater than, less than, they're like alligator jaws with invisible teeth. What's an alligator going to eat? The smaller thing or the bigger thing? Alligator's going to go for the biggest thing. So he's going to open his jaws towards the greater number, which is 0.4. And that is your answer. So it's going to go greater than. 4/10 is greater than 2/6. Our next problem, we have to do a little distribution first. When you've got a negative sign up against parentheses, it means you're multiplying. Anything up against a parentheses, you're going to have to distribute to what's inside the parentheses. So when there's just a negative, it's understood to be -1. So that's like negative 1 times negative 3 and a negative 15 over here. Well, negative times a negative goes to positive. 1 times 3 is 3, so this becomes positive 3 and negative 15. Well, 3 is greater than negative 15, so the alligator is going to eat the 3. He's bigger. So this is greater than. Okay, and that's our answer. Next, it says name the property of real numbers illustrated by the equation. Well, what is the property of real numbers that we're talking about? Well, when you look at what they started with here, a negative 2, and they distributed it across to both numbers, so negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4. So they have done nothing more but use the distributive property on these numbers. Number 5 says evaluate the expression for the given value of the variables. So I'm going to start by copying my original equation, a plus 2b, and now we're going to replace a with negative 5, okay, and then plus 2 times b, which is negative 2. Replace b with negative 2. Now, let's simplify. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. So now we have negative 5 plus negative 4. Well, when adding numbers with the same sign, be it both positive or both negative, you add the numbers and keep the sign. So 5 plus 4 is 9. Keep the sign. So our answer is negative 9. So number 6 says more of the same. So let's simplify and replace h with 3. So I'm going to start by negative 1 times 2 times h, which is 3, minus 4, all over 2 plus h, which is 3. So there we go. And now I'm going to simplify. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2, and then negative 1 times 2 is just negative 2. And now 2 plus 3 is 5, so carry that across, and this is your answer, negative 2/5. The next one says combine like terms. What is a simpler form of each expression? So basically combine your terms and simplify. So again, we have to start with our distribution of the 3 across the binomial 2y minus 3. So this becomes 6y minus 9, and then minus 4y. And now combine your like terms of 6y minus 4y. That's going to be 2y, and carry down your negative 9, and that's your answer. Next, we've got to distribute. Same thing, negative 5y minus 10, 4y minus 13. Just carry it down. And now we're going to solve for y. So add 5y to each side. And this goes to 9y. And then add 13 to each side to get rid of that. Don't forget your equal sign, and this goes to 3. So now we have 9y equals 3. Now we've got to get rid of the 9, divide each side by 9, and we get y equals 3/9 or 1/3. And that's your answer.